Hi, so this was just a question I was pondering this morning. Why is there poverty? Yeah, I will tell you right now, I'm a Christian. I want to give you my non-expert perspective. And also, in my local society, I am considered to be poor. Maybe not compared to the people in your community, but I'm talking about my local community. I am really pretty much living in the slums of our locality. It's embarrassing, but it's true. I never thought of it that way. Whenever we used to attend this particular church, which, wow, what a beautiful church it was. It was in Dublin. I was attracted to this church because it had such a nice name, and we would pass it on the way to this local park, the city park, which is really nice. I would say a municipal park, it's not in, whatever. It's like, never mind. I'm not trying to be, I want to be as accurate as possible. Sometimes I get a little bogged down. I will try to rein myself in. But it wasn't long before they started asking, oh, where do you live? Well, we don't really live in Dublin. We don't really live in Hilliard. We actually live in Galway. Oh, where in Galway? Oh, well, we live off of Hubbard Road. Do you know the area? Oh, yes, yeah. Now, which side of the railroad bridge do you live on? Oh, they wanted, even they almost asked for my GPS coordinates, and this was like, I don't know, about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less time. Because they wanted to put us in a category. Oh, they're the people who live on the wrong side of the tracks. Literally, we have this idiom in America. We used to use it more frequently, perhaps, when we were a snobbier nation. Oh, he or she lives on the wrong side of the tracks. And to be quite honest, the neighborhood isn't bad. And there are some very nice houses, actually, on my block. Very nice, and you wouldn't consider them to be, like, poor at all, but and then there are other houses on the same block which look a little shabbier in comparison, and I guess ours is one of those. It's a little embarrassing, but it's really true. And why is that? Well, because our windows are original from when the house was built in the 1970s, and they were not engineered very well. They're aluminum frame windows that are double paned, and there was a seal failure at some point before we even moved in, and so there's like yucky residue. It's not like totally disgusting, but it's it's kind of whitish residue that you can never, no matter how many times you clean the windows, you'll never get rid of that because it's between the panes, this residue, because there was a seal failure. Because aluminum is like one of the worst materials you can use for a window frame. I guess they didn't know that back in the 70s, so I forgive them. And actually our windows are, they're better than no windows, I suppose. I'm grateful to even have windows. I'm grateful to have a house, but anyway. But at the same time, it's a little depressing when you look all around you and so many people. It seems as if the majority of people in our locality, in our community, if we want to say Hilliard and Galway, where we usually go, we have to drive by these huge estates every time we want to go somewhere, unless we want to go into the city, which I really don't want to. That's depressing. And I feel like such a failure. I don't think it's really envy. I feel hurt because I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think I'm a person who didn't work hard to achieve success, because as I have stated previously, I do have 3 college degrees, and I'm not bragging. I think in retrospect, getting the college degrees was not the direction that God wanted me to take, because it obviously did not result in our family's prosperity. In fact, we got into much debt because I was a good student and I completed the degree programs, and I'm paying off the debt. I'm paying off the debt to several different entities. I was given loans by so many different entities, it will make your head spin. Yeah, it's, gosh, why, I feel as if I was taken advantage of because I was so desperate. And that's the problem with poverty. It is perpetuated by predators, even in the educational system, who take advantage of the desperation of people who think, if I get a degree, if this or that, if I invest in this, I am going to be wealthy. But wisdom doesn't cost anything. Wisdom comes from God. That's what I'm seeking these days. Wisdom will eventually enrich if you're a good person and you're obedient to God, but it's not easy. If it's going to be 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I'm already almost 50. I mean, you can imagine, if I were 20, it wouldn't be so bothersome to be poor, but to be almost 50. Is this the end of the line for me? Well, no. As a Christian, of course, I believe in heaven. In my Father's house, there are many mansions, and Jesus has gone there to prepare a room for me. I'm not going to feel as if I am a lower class person or beneath anybody else, because everybody is going to be equal in heaven, but on earth, that will never happen. It really amazes me how even wealthy kids are put down by their peers in school. So I've heard, like, oh, you live in the slums of Upper Arlington. What I wouldn't give, to live in Upper Arlington. If I had known what I know now, I wouldn't have moved here at all. And another footnote, not to embarrass anybody, another church which, we've looked around for the right church. We haven't found it yet. Because we don't reject the doctrine. It's just, they're just shallow and phony and snobby. And I don't want to go to a church where people are like depressed and whining either. So it's hard to find the right church. I'm sorry, I'm depressed and whining. I should start my own church. But there was this church we attended a few times, and I briefly worked at a hotel while I was completing my bachelor's degree in English, after I'd already started my family, so I was going back to school to complete my degree. And I was not really eavesdropping, but I'm here at the front desk, just sitting here. There's nothing going on. This church had hired a new assistant pastor, and I remember the lead pastor's wife saying, well, if you go looking for a house, you don't want to have a house in the Southwestern City Schools District. You don't want to go there. And it made me feel so bad, because that's where I live. And right across the bridge, if you cross the railroad bridge, you're in the Hilliard School District. But, did I say anything? Of course not. And did that person really know any better? Of course they didn't. They thought they were... I know they didn't care if they were being snobby. They didn't care if I overheard them, and it made me feel bad. I mean, they're supposed to be Christians, and I still remember that, so I don't know. So why is there poverty? I think it's a complex problem and issue which will be with us until Jesus returns. In the meantime, how do you combat poverty? Well, try to be as industrious as you can. Try to make friends where you can. If you're one of those people who can network and sell Amway and, Erin go bra, I'm not one of those people. I tried that sort of thing. But I mean, if that's where your talents and interests lie, there's nothing wrong with trying to be a little bit acquisitive, as long as you're not taking advantage of people. If you have a great personality and you can sell ice to an Eskimo, well, good for you. I'm not one of those people, obviously. So, I mean, So I put my focus on giving and being the best I can be, being as hardworking as I can be, and praying that, well, God, maybe someday you'll just get me into some sort of a friendship where people would say, oh gosh, well, why don't you, you could make money this way, or we want to hire you to do this because you're so qualified, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, maybe that could happen someday. I don't know. Or maybe somebody would say, oh gosh, you have all these kids and you're a great Christian and you've been married for almost 30 years. We just want to give you some money anonymously. Okay, I'll settle for that. I'm not like out on the street corner begging. In the meantime, you and I, who consider ourselves to be poor, if God is taking care of our needs, we don't really have anything to complain about. We must be grateful for what we have, and then God can give us more. But let us not be greedy. Let us not be greedy. Let us not be resentful. Let us allow this experience of being, quote, poor, unquote, to make us better people, more compassionate. If someday God chooses to give us wealth, prosperity, may we use it wisely, and may we, yes, redistribute it compassionately. Not because anybody's forcing us to do it, but because we're led by the Holy Spirit to share with our fellow Christians and those around us who may not even happen to be Christians. So I guess I've said my piece. I hope it wasn't too perplexing or depressing. I try to be authentic. And I hope you gleaned some important insights and perhaps even some encouragement. Adios.